will call the meeting to order. It's Monday, July 14th of 2025. This is the Stoughton Plan Commission meeting. And it looks like we do have a quorum, and we are in certification and compliance with open meeting laws. So the first item on the agenda would be consider approval of the minutes from the last meeting, and I would entertain a motion to do so.
Can we hold meeting approval? We've got a slew of them coming next month, and that way I can check over all of them. Are you guys okay with that? There is one in the packet, but she asked that I look over it first. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Tim.
All right. You want me to move on? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that a hint? Okay. Okay, citizen comments. I do have some people signed up. I don't know if they want to speak now or if they prefer to wait until their item comes up. I'm good either way. Anybody want to come up now, or do you want to speak when your agenda item comes up?
I'll wait till
Okay, that works. And then that would take us to item number 7, which is an extraterritorial land division, also known as the ETJ, in the town of Pleasant Springs. We do have a need for a public hearing for this one, and we can maybe get a little bit of background information from Director Munz Pritchard, and then Natalie Fisher is here representing the family. So if we have any questions about it, it looks like she's prepared to answer them. Go ahead, Chris.
Or, if I can interrupt, you skipped number 5, which is the council representative report. If you want to skip that, you can skip it. I mean, it's not exactly.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Chris wanted to get right into the good
Okay,
stuff.
I'm just,
I just follow orders
what's going
here.
on here.
All right. I'm sorry, Phil. I'm sorry. So we have an extraterritorial land division in the town of Pleasant Springs. It is 3.4 acres on a 37.5 acre lot. The property is within the 1.5 mile ETJ extraterritorial, but beyond the urban public or planned urban development area of the comprehensive planned land use. Resolution and land division information are provided. I'm recommending here into council. I don't see any issues with the request. We can talk more about ETJs, but normally like ETJs where we want to look at how we're going to deal with an ETJ as if it's close to our services, and this is like way away from our services. So.
All right. Push the red button there.
Oh, red button.
There you go. You're on. Is the red light on?
The blue light's on.
It should be red.
Now we're red.
Okay.
All right. The one thing I did want to point out to let you guys know, I did see an error on the application for Dane County. The proposed new zoning code is SFR-08. But it really doesn't have any much change to what you guys have here. I just want to make sure that your records are correct.
I actually didn't even reference it because we don't have any zoning jurisdiction. So I was like, going to make this as simple as possible on this.
Thank you. I didn't expect that you would have any issues. I just want to make sure that my paperwork matches what Dane County and what Pleasant Springs is, because it's all going to turn one big circle, right? Did you get it corrected with Dane County?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Excellent. All right. Does anybody have any questions on this one? Otherwise, we do have a need to go into a public hearing, so we'll do that. Anybody wish to speak at the public hearing on this issue? Seeing none, we'll open up for a regular business. I would entertain a motion for a recommendation to the City Council. Motion by Bradford. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Schumacher. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Maybe one clarification on this. So this is, so the 2 lots are going to be formed with that, and then the balance of the remainder of that lot is incorporated into the larger. Is that?
No, I think you're in the wrong.
Okay, I'm in the wrong one. Never mind.
This is what it's by making council.
All right. Got it. Yep. Don't worry.
Okay. Anything else on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.
Yep. Item number 8 is consider a change in zoning for 1420 Nygaard. And this one here also has a need for a public hearing, but before we go into it, we'll do a quick overview. Director Munz Pritchard.
So this property, you guys getting a lot of bad feedback? Okay, okay. Oh, you got it. Thank you, Jordan. All right, so the property is located at 1420 Nygaard. The property is approximately 1.2 acres, give or take. It's currently zoned for rural holding, which is interesting because I think the minimum square footage is not being met for rural holding. So just more of an FYI. So that's why the property is considered a non-conforming under the current zoning district. The area does not seem to have a CSM. However, the north area of the property does have a vacated right-of-way, Velcom Way, which that's come into question here recently. But I think we'll address that during the SIP. The applicant is essentially looking at turning it into a veterinary clinic. And it's been noticed around the area. It does meet our minimum requirements for the zoning change. I go through the list on that. I can read through it, but yeah. So my recommendation is the property changes align with the future land use map. It does currently. The applicant, during the process of the developing the site, should consider establishing a CSM because there's something weird going on with the lot. Approval by engineering, building inspection, fire inspection, and any other conditions identified by city staff during that time. So, and I do believe that we got an SIP. So I put this out, like a week and a half ago for you guys to see. And then deadlines for the next meeting are Friday, and we did get an SIP for this site. So just more of an FYI, you guys will be seeing it at the next meeting for site plan approval. So, and with that.
All right, any questions? Any questions before we go into public hearing?
Yeah, Chris, was there a boarding component, or is this just a veterinary office?
I don't know. We can address that during the, at this point, all we're looking at is changing it from rural holding to the zoning district that would meet those, that requirement, so.
But would it meet zoning for boarding? Because it said it was contingent, the sale was actually contingent on the approval. That's why I asked.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. So, is the applicant here, or are they online? Okay.
Hi, good evening. This is the applicant. I'm online.
Okay. Are you needing boarding at the veteran clinic, or is it just for veteran? I feel like I'm saying this wrong. Veteran service, yeah, office services.
Correct. It's just medical services for veterinary. There is no boarding component to the building.
Okay, any additional questions? All right, anything that you'd like to say about the zoning for this one?
You guys will see this at the next Plan Commission meeting in August for the SIP review and approval. So at this point, we're just looking at the zoning change, which honestly makes a lot of sense.
All right, no further questions. We'll close the regular meeting, open up for a public hearing. And I don't believe anyone signed up to speak for this one. So we can close the public hearing and go into our regular business. So we're looking for a recommendation on this one to the City Council as well.
Move to approve for City Council.
All right, motion by Majewski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schumacher. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thanks for being online tonight. Next one is item number 9. This one was from the last meeting, and that was to consider a conditional use permit for a multiplex and apartments for Authentics. And per section 78-05, parent G 3A. And imagine we'll be getting an update on the proposal. City attorney is online as well. I don't know if he has anything he wants to say before we get started.
We can get started. I can jump in after the update.
Okay, and Chris, do you have anything to update, or you want to go right to Dylan, or how you want to do this?
We can do it one of two ways. We can let them present, and then I can talk about the updates they've made. So they are meeting minimum requirements now, and they still need to bring it back for an SIP approval. But they are meeting all the minimum requirements of a conditional use permit, and then those are laid out in my conditions that I'm going to ask that we make sure that we when we approve with conditions, that we get those listed so that they have something. Does that make sense? Do you guys want him to present, or do you want me to go through? Okay, we'll let him present then.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Dylan Sindrich again. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you remember me from the last meeting, but yeah, we're just here to present the updates that we've made to the plans since we presented this project to you all last month. You can scroll down to the next slide. So this is just a little agenda of what I'm going to talk about today. As you all know, we got some really great comments and feedback from you all at the last meeting, and the kind of two big items that we heard were sustainability initiatives and amenities. That was something that was really important to you all on the Plan Commission, to the City Council, and just to the residents here in Stoughton. And then also, as Chris mentioned, that we need to be meeting or exceeding all of the requirements of the multifamily residence zone. So I'm going to just kind of talk through those items today with you all, and share the changes we've made to be in compliance with those zoning requirements. And then just, to note that with the new amenities and the changes we've made to the plans, that's reduced the proposed density for this project from 21 units per acre to 17 units per acre. Head over to the next slide here. So again, just orienting everyone to the location of this site. So we're on the northwest side of the city, near the intersection of County Highway B and US Highway 51. And then this is the updated site plan. So just kind of running through the high level statistics. So the unit count is the same as we proposed at the last meeting, 312, but we've increased the total area of the parcel from 15 to 18 acres. That has allowed us to increase the landscape surface area ratio from 40% to 50%. And then again, as I mentioned, that decreased the density from 21 units per acre to 17 units per acre. And then, yeah, so, as you all know, the landscape surface area ratio was a big topic of discussion at the last meeting. So just to reiterate, we're now meeting that 50% requirement. We were able to do that by adding in a detention basin to the north, which will serve our site, and then also just be incorporated as an amenity with native plantings, walking paths, seating areas. The idea is that this is actually an open space amenity for residents of our community and then just the surrounding neighborhoods as well. And then Continental will be assuming all associated maintenance costs and then granting an easement to the city for public access, so it'll be available for members of the public to use.
That's the one on this previous slide.
Sorry, yeah, the blue area, yeah, on the site plan, just to the north of our site, adjacent to County Highway B, yeah. So this detention basin, again, it's directly next to the new multi-use trail that's being built. So the walking paths and seating areas will tie into the multi-use trail network, which will then tie into the other surrounding areas. So it'll be easy for people to access that. We're going to be using native plants to provide habitat for local wildlife. And then again, our goal is that really this is a community amenity for our residents and for everyone in Stoughton that wants to use it. And then just on the next slide here, I have just a conceptual rendering that we put together of kind of how this detention basin open space area will look. We know that this is kind of a gateway to Stoughton. As you're coming in from the north from Madison on Highway 51, this development is kind of the first thing you see. So we really want to make sure that this open space, when you're driving down County Highway B, is really visible, it's beautiful, and it really helps to provide a quality gateway for your city. So now I'm just going to kind of highlight the other amenities and sustainability initiatives we added. So we added in a community garden. So there's going to be raised beds, which residents can use to grow their own food. It'll have a rain barrel, so it'll harvest the rainwater coming off the roof of the nearby building, and then residents can use that to water their gardens. We will have a hose as well, and then a composting station so they can, make their own compost for their gardens. And our goal with this is that residents have a space that they can, grow their own food, but also like it's a community gathering area, a place where residents can come together, form relationships with their neighbors, and just a nice space for the community to come together. The next amenity that we're adding is a green roof on the grounds building at the center of the site. So this is going to be visible right as you drive in through the main entrance. Green roofs, they help reduce stormwater runoff. They reduce the urban heat island effect. They help improve the energy efficiency of buildings. And really our goal with it, this is like something that we've never done before in any development. So I'm really excited about this personally. I think this is going to be really cool for us and like a proof of concept. Like, if we can do this here in Stoughton, like we can, do green roofs on other projects that we might do in the future in other communities. And then I think too, like it's a proof of concept for green roofs in Stoughton. If we can do this, then, hopefully other developers in the future can consider green roofs on other developments in Stoughton. So I think it's a really awesome, something I'm really excited about. And then here, this is just a rendering we kind of put together of the central kind of amenity space. This is at the center of the community. So you've got our community garden on the right, and then our pet playground area off to the left, and then you'll see the grounds building with the green roof just behind that. So kind of all together in one nice area. Another amenity we're adding is a butterfly garden. So this is going to be located right at the entrance to the community across from the clubhouse. According to a recent study by the Midwest Climate Adaptation Science Center, butterfly populations fell 22% between the years 2000 and 2020. And so, these are really critical species. They pollinate, other plants in the area. And so our goal with this is to, use specific plants that cater to butterflies and other pollinators so that we can provide habitat for these critical parts of our ecosystem. And then again, also just an additional open space amenity for our residents and for members of the community. This next slide is a rendering we put together. So just on the right corner area, you'll see that's going to be our butterfly garden. So it's across from the clubhouse right at the entrance. And hopefully a really nice amenity for our residents. The next amenity that we're adding in is a bike storage and repair room. So this is going to be a secure indoor room. It's going to be equipped with long-term storage spaces for 28 bikes, and then also a bike repair stand and tools. So residents will be able to do their own bike maintenance should they choose. And we really thought that just this site with the location along this new trail network and then close to commercial areas, jobs, parks, schools, that this really is a good spot where, residents could potentially live car-free or at least like car light. And so, our goal with this is to really promote sustainable multimodal transportation and allow residents that, want the opportunity to use their car less, that they can do so. And then along with this, sustainable transportation, we're also adding in EV charging spaces. So we're adding in 4 spaces, and they'll be spread throughout the community, available for residents' use at any time. And then we're also adding additional infrastructure for, adding in future EV charging stations as the demand for EVs continues to grow. We know they're becoming more and more popular, and so we want to provide, as that demand grows at our community, that we can continue to add more chargers as more people use them. And then we're also adding in balconies as well on the buildings facing out onto Greenbrier Drive. So that's going to be there's 4 buildings facing directly to the west, and those are all going to have balconies on the sides facing that road. We chose these buildings because there's a new park being built just across the street to the west, and so I really feel like this area, balconies on these second floor units, they're going to have great views. It's going to be a really nice amenity for those residents, and then also too, they'll be along that public street, and so it'll just enhance the architecture, provide more visual interest to the elevations of those buildings along the public street, and just make the community more attractive looking at it from the outside. And then just these last pictures here just highlight a couple, and these are amenities I already talked about at the last meeting, but our heated outdoor pool, clubhouse with our community room and fitness center, and then our off-leash dog park with the play equipment. So We're really excited about these amenities that we've added. I think it's not only did we want to, respond to your guys' comments, but frankly, I think it just makes our community better too. It's going to help us to attract, more residents and just make it a better place for people to live. So I'm really excited about all these. And so these slides just kind of, exactly point out where these amenities are in the community. So you'll see most of them are centered in that middle. We wanted to centralize them as much as possible so that it's easy access for the different buildings and where people will be living. But that's like the location of these. And then the next slide just shows a couple more of them. I couldn't fit them all in one, but so those are the amenities that we're adding. And then just on these next couple slides here, I just wanted to get into some of those zoning requirements. So, again, we really heard you guys that this, is really important to you. And so, as Chris mentioned, we're meeting all of the, minimum requirements for all the zoning categories, but we wanted to make sure too that not only are we meeting the requirements, but we're exceeding them in some areas. And so with these first three that you'll see here, it's the site setbacks, the minimum building separation, and then the parking area setbacks. Our goal with this is, we know open space is really important to you guys, and so we want to make, and it's important to us too, it helps the quality of life for our residents. So we want to make sure that we're providing a nice buffer between, our buildings, where our residents are going to live in the surrounding area, so that, there'll be room for landscaping, just a buffer area that enhances the aesthetics of the community. Our building separation as well, we wanted to increase that because all of our two-story buildings actually have first-floor direct entry doors, so there's no shared hallway corridors for those first-floor units. They have their own patios, and so increasing the space between those buildings just provides additional patio yard space for our residents, which they really appreciate. And then as well, just with the units, we're adding in larger units than are required. So again, just trying to provide more living space for our residents, improve the quality of life for the people that'll be living in this community. And then on the next slide, again, in keeping with our commitment to multimodal sustainable transportation, we're adding in more bike parking than required. So per code, it's 49 spaces. We're adding in 82 spaces. And again, those will be broken between short-term and long-term spaces. And then, just with the open space, we have significantly increased the open space the open space and landscaping area that we're providing, but we also wanted to make sure that the landscaping we are providing is really high quality. And so that's this 30% requirement for the permanently protected green space. We're providing 39%. So the landscaping we're providing, it's amenity space that residents will be able to use. It's high quality. And then with the landscaping points, it's a little over 11,000 that are required for this development per code, but we're providing around 13,000. And the idea with that is, again, just like the landscaping that we do have, it's higher quality. All the point system really just means that we're providing more trees, shrubs, and other plants than the code requires. That's all I had for you guys. I just wanted to say thanks for having us back and your time and consideration tonight. And we're really grateful for the feedback that we received from you all, from Plan Commission, from staff, and the opportunity to revise our plans. And I'm here right now to answer any questions that you guys might have. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Farrell?
Thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to your email, but one thing jumped out at least to me. The detention basin, the shape, is this one that we need to, there's something about curvilinear shape not being rectangle, square thing? I can't remember where it was.
I just looked at Tim to answer this for me. Did you see that?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
though.
I
Instead
know
of
exactly,
squaring it off, make it like a little more natural.
Like a bean or something?
Yeah.
We've had this discussion about other ones, and this one I just noticed is pretty much a rectangle.
Yeah.
So if we could give it some flavor.
I can, so it's actually STI that's putting the detention basin in. So I could, but I think it's a,
I know
I'm
it's
like
just
looking at you guys, I
rendering
believe
too,
it's a dry detention basin.
That is true. I mean, so it's like it's like the third overflow. So I mean, obviously it will have water, and during like storm events, but it will be dry the majority of the time.
I think the intent was just so it doesn't look man-made, and that looks man-made, even dry or wet. So
I can try to put something into STI. I mean, we can do that, or is it too far along, do you think? What do you think?
I think they can re-envision.
I mean, we could certainly talk
Yeah,
to
we
them.
could just go and dig.
We could talk to them about that too. I mean, we're purchasing this property from them, so, and I do frankly, agree with you. I think that, that a naturalized storm basin, it looks more attractive. So we can certainly talk with them about that, and I think that's a good idea.
The other thing, and I understand these are just architectural renderings, but the green roof looks ridiculously high. Stuff like 6 foot high. Why is that?
Like in terms of the gable?
It looks like they took a gable roof and just put plants on it.
Yeah, I think that yeah, to your point, it is a conceptual rendering. We can definitely look at flattening that out a little bit. I don't think that we can make it completely flat just because it does need to drain, but we can certainly lower the angle of that so that, it looks...
They're typically about 1 foot, 15 inches or so.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library, a huge green roof, 15 inches of soil. So, I mean, that looks like 6 foot, which would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you ever had
that's a little...
if you ever do maintenance on it, it would be not fun.
Yeah.
Al, do you know, when they did that, did they put out any guidelines for that we could maybe apply to this?
For the
green
TR
roofs, just
one?
yeah,
You
just
can
in
just
general.
Google it.
Okay.
It's a huge, huge project, and it's a massive green roof. Like 150,000 native plants on it or something like that. The only other thing, my last thing is, just so you think about it, is looking at the layout of the parking lot, pushing snow is going to be a pain. So snow storage, you need to maybe think about. I mean, you basically got 3 cul-de-sacs, if you will, where there's nowhere you can just keep pushing it. You're going to push it to the end, and then you're going to be stuck, or you're going to have excavators or loaders.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that we'll take a look at that as well too with our operations team. That's a good point.
That was it.
No, that's no.
We wouldn't want to put all that salt in there. Yeah, we'll keep it out of that.
May I suggest part of the recommendation on the conditional use permit that we ask that they show us a snow storage plan? All right, would that be okay with you? All right, we're going to add that to the requirements.
That's really fine. Yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner Farrell?
No.
All right. Anything from the other commissioners?
I have a question. How are you planning on maintaining your green roofs?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I mean, we haven't done this before in any community, so it is, going to be a learning curve for us, but we do have on-site maintenance team, and then we do contract with, landscape contractors to maintain all of our landscapes, so I imagine that we'll have to get, when we're hiring that group, we'll have to find someone that at least has some sort of experience with green roofs, maybe a group that has done some stuff up in Madison, to make sure that, but I agree, I mean, maintenance is going to be important, and, we have an incentive too to make sure that this thing looks nice and doesn't, because it's right at the middle of the community, people are going to drive in, if it looks like crap, that's not good for us either.
So on your renderings, you have a green roof over shaded parking stalls. Is that, and I'm not seeing that on your overall plan you're showing in like the first page.
Yeah.
So where are those?
So, well, maybe you could go to the, up to the site plan, I kind of explain, or maybe just that rendering of the, well, it's okay, so I can explain those. So we have, if you see like above that central green space where the pet park is, that building right there, that's our grounds building, and so that has a number of things in it. It has our ADA accessible garage, which is something that we're required to have. It has our maintenance garage where our maintenance team keeps their tools. It also has a parcel pending room, so like those Amazon package lockers you've seen, we have those as well. And then that overhang that you're talking about is our car care center. So we have basically like a handheld car wash, so residents can wash their cars and the vacuum as well, so for free in the community. Let me see if it's the...
Tom, sorry, it's me. Hey, sorry, we're here. In the conditions, I do think adding a maintenance plan for the green roof would be a good idea, and then to have that at the SIP. So we can just say, like, okay, if it's not working, here's how we pivot.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah.
I would propose goats.
There you go.
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Sounds like a time.
It's a Stoughton thing. There's history on that.
I think the overhanging shed, or whatever we're gonna call it, the parking, what do you call that?
Shaded parking.
Canopy.
It would be nice if you could provide that for other places on your very large parking lots.
I thought you were looking at doing the garages too, originally. Like,
Yeah.
Are you going to be
Well,
doing the garages in
Well, I mean,
that
these are like for parking stalls that are sheltered, not fully, but they also knock down the amount of sun that's hitting hard. I mean, you have it in one spot, and it would be nice to see it in a few other spots.
Yeah, I think our thought process was, again, that, as much as I think this is a really awesome idea. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, they don't have to be green. You could put solar on top of them,
Yeah.
and that would take care of your EV stations.
Yeah,
There's just, but I'm just like saying, you have, it's a nice idea. You have it in a single spot. You have hundreds of parking stalls, but it's only going to take care of about, 25, 30?
Yeah, it's not, I think it's fair. I mean, we're not covering the whole site. I think, where we're coming from this is that we haven't done this before, and so we want to make sure that
Totally understand.
we get it right the first time, but I certainly agree that in the future, to me, that sounds awesome. It's shaded parking as well. Your car's not as hot. It makes a ton of sense, and so I think, if this goes well and we're able to maintain this successfully, I certainly think it's a great idea to look into.
Well, I'm not saying you look into it. I'm saying that you could use more.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think we could potentially, we did look at adding it to some of the two detached garages that we have. Our concern with that was just from the execution side, that would be our residents' vehicles and stuff parked in there as opposed to our company's equipment. And so, if we were to have issues with like leaking or anything like that, then, we would be responsible for like the residents' property. So that's why we looked at doing it on this grounds building first. But we could certainly, if that's something that's important to the, commission, we could definitely add that to at least one of these garages. If you guys wanted to add that in as a condition, that would be okay with us.
Any follow-up?
Just as a information thing, okay? The city of Vancouver has been using green roofs for over 20 years. They have them on some of their major residential buildings and on their commercial buildings. Some of the biggest office buildings there have green roofs, and they're not terrace roofs, like in Chicago. They're actually green roofs. So you may want to just look into what Vancouver's been doing, since they've been doing it for quite a while.
Is that Vancouver, BC, I'm assuming? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
All right. Anything else from the commissioners before we go into public hearing? Commissioner Farrell.
I'm sorry, the only thing I'm looking at, I missed that one architectural rendering with the covered parking that has the green roof also. And my first thought was also solar, but then you're right adjacent to your building there with windows, so you would need to make sure that reflections are not blinding people too, if you do look at that. I think it makes sense, except from maybe that perspective.
Can I clarify something?
Sure.
I think we're only talking about one building. Is there two Or is it one combined area
For the green roof?
for the green room?
Yeah, right now it's just one building. I think what we brought up.
No, I think that the spaces are part of like a car washy type place.
Yeah, so
on
that-
utility building.
Yeah.
I don't think it's two different spaces. It's one roof.
Yeah, it's
Not two roofs.
yeah, it's one roof, and yeah, that overhang area, it's not actually a parking stall, it's like, it is a car wash for our residents to use, so they pull in, and it's, if you guys have seen those, like, hand, where you have the nozzle and you spray it, it's one of those, which is why it has, like, the overhang, because that's where the car wash nozzle is mounted, so that's what that is. And then I think, like I mentioned too, I mean, if the Plan Commission wanted to add this as a condition, we could add another green roof to one of the garage buildings as well.
And keep in mind too, with this, they are coming back for the SIP approval, so at that point, we need detailed plans.
Yeah, that's also true.
I just wanted to make it clear because sometimes we're getting pictures that don't live up to what's actually being proposed. So I just wanted to make sure we were clear that it was only one building, one green roof.
Yeah, and again too, I mean, so we'll be back, assuming we get approved here, we'll be back next month for our site plan, or our SIP, and so that is where, we'll have all of those detailed plans for you guys to review that'll, check all of our items. And then as well, I mean, before we are able to get any permits, we need to get our plans reviewed and approved by the engineering department, which will be checking against all of the comments that you guys have made. So, nothing that, this is obviously a little conceptual right now, but we will get you guys all those details before, we get any permits that would allow us to build anything.
All
Mayor, if
right,
I could make just one quick comment.
sure, go ahead, Attorney Matthew.
Just want to, I guess, mention, these green roofs, they aren't an actual ordinance requirement at this point. So I understand the developer is agreeing to, the petition to add a green roof to one of the buildings, but I just want to, I guess, caution about maybe imposing more requirements than our ordinances currently specify. But if that's something we wanted to look at in the future about sort of these green roof landscaping requirements in the future, that's something we could do as like an ordinance adjustment potentially after we have some time to look into it.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
I have a question that, considering that we're still looking at over 300 units for this development, if I'm not mistaken, and looks like there's 2 points of ingress and egress onto Greenbrier Drive. Does that seem like enough for this many units?
So,
Unless I'm missing something?
yes, with that said, most of the time that when we design multi-use paths, we should be designing them so that emergency services can use them for points of egress as well. That's how I've always done it in other communities, and this does have a nice back, but all of my meetings I do prior to, so this will pass, I'll set up what I call a TAC meeting, their Technical Advisory Committee, and that's where fire and EMS sit in, and we talk about circulation on these. Honestly, my concern more is that end area, if they have to go down to turn around, versus like the 2 entry points. But that's something that I make Josh hammer out, because I'm good at passing off work, right? So, but yeah, we look at all of that stuff.
The other thing I'll just say too, I know this isn't like vehicle circulation, but since the last plan, I know one of the comments that we heard from you guys too is that the community just didn't have enough pedestrian access points from the buildings to that street. So if you'll notice, we added in connection points to Greenbrier Drive between all of the buildings as well along that street frontage, and then there's an additional connection to that multi-use trail in the back. So we are trying to address it in that way as well.
What is that noise?
It's in the back. It's behind the curtain. All right, anything else? Hearing none, we'll close the regular meeting. We're going to go into public hearing, so we'll still have another chance. I think there was one person that might have been signed up to speak. Did you want to speak, Scott? Come on up. You know the routine, right? You haven't forgotten, have you? Just press the button. It's on. I can see it from here.
Looks like it's on. Good evening. I'm Scott Truel, and for the better part of the last 3 decades, I have been a commercial contractor and have worked across southern Wisconsin. During that 3 decades, I also have had the opportunity to sit in your chairs. I had a chance to be on the Plan Commission for about 5 years, was the head of the RDA, and was a councilman for a year. And I want to applaud where I think this project is going. I'm here to speak in support of it, and I want to point out a few things that I think are key for setting not only what you want to see happen here, but for where we can go from a city standpoint. During my general contracting career, I have had the opportunity to work with Continental Properties. I'm not working for them now. I'm not under contract with anyone. I'm just speaking as someone who's got a little bit of experience on construction, and I like this project. Continental has always been very responsive. They've tended to do very client-centric commercial projects, and I was excited to see them come over to Dane County. I mean, they're a Milwaukee-based company. The best example I can give you is if you take a look at the site plan, if you go back, the closest project that I'm aware of that they have is in Cottage Grove. And that project has a similar lot layout, but ironically, when someone mentioned about the snow removal, that project, it really is one long road, and it's parallel buildings all the way, and it really loses the sense of community. This project, I think, is going to look well, is going to serve their marketplace very well, but I also think it makes sense in terms of the residential, the 40 or 50 lots that are down on the corner that Stone Trailers is going to develop, the church and school behind it, and the like. But the thing that really struck me with this is really that it really feels like it's in scale with the kind of development. There's over 300 units, but it's different than the 300 unit boxes that my company and others have built in the course of years. I was excited to see that the people will be able to come out on first floor and be able to walk right out onto the terrace. I was pleased to see that they pulled the buildings back and have created more green space. I couldn't help but laugh when you were talking about the roof maintenance. I was thinking, well, maybe we should call, if they're going to build what they're proposing, we should call Al Johnson's up in Door County and get the goats to come down. But short of that, I think it really is a case of them understanding the types of plantings that they use, and to your point, I mean, there's a lot of models out there from that standpoint. But fundamentally, this project, I think, with some of your questions that you had, and I watched the Plan Commission last month, because I've been curious and kind of watching this project. I'm glad to see that they've come back with some of the sustainability improvements that we're seeing here. I think most importantly to me, I think really though, it comes back to the fact that for a project this big, I think it's going to feel more neighborly. And I think that's a really good thing, and I think that's really where we want to go. And I'm hoping that when they work out the final details with their SIP and come back before you, that we end up with a project that not only we can be proud of, but that they can be proud of and go forward. Because I think that some of the things that you've asked them to do and some of the improvements they've made here, I can't help but think, take a little bit of pride. And I think back to Tim and Tom and some of the folks that I was fortunate enough to serve on the council with. We've always taken great pride in Stoughton of simply saying that we're not just a bedroom community. We're not going to just take the big box or the plan that worked in a different community and drop it into Stoughton. We're going to challenge it. We're going to ask questions, and we're going to try and do what we can to improve it. And I think fundamentally, what I see tonight and what I understood they were changing, I think really is making this a project that I would strongly encourage you to support and recommend to council. Sweat the details, they still need to do that, but in terms of a conditional use, I think this is a really good project for the overall scope they're trying to do. I think because they're spending more money by building smaller units, I think that there's certain things here that maybe if it had been a giant big box, they could have done even more. But I think by creating the smaller units, they really are creating the sense of neighborhood. And I think, again, having, on the way down tonight, I drove through the Cottage Grove project again just to take a look. And there were people out in the dog park, and the people were heading over to the pool. And what I really liked was seeing the landscaping around the buildings. And I think the thing that the subtle thing that they added here that I think is going to be very, very popular is going to be those raised gardens. At the end of the day, we want this project to be good for them, but we want it to be good for us. And I think this is the kind of project that's going to bring, with the 2 and 3 bedroom units and with everything else that's going to happen with the Stoughton development out there, I think it's going to bring and provide great housing for the kinds of folks that are looking to come and move into Stoughton. So I strongly encourage your support of this project, and I look forward to maybe seeing you again as they come back with the SIP and some of those things, because I think that really is the key, is sweating the details. But tonight, I think you've got a very good opportunity to move forward a project that has already been improving from the other projects I've seen them do in Dane County. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak at the public hearing? All right, we'll close that. We'll open it up. Did I see a hand up? No? What's that? You
I just
flinched?
have one question. In your overall conceptual plan, to the north of Building 9, you have like an alcove. What is that?
Let me, here, sorry. Oh, yeah, so that's our trash enclosure location. So last time we were here, we had it in the location where the community garden is. One of the comments that we got from staff is that per the ordinance, the doors, like it's surrounded on 3 sides,
Right.
but then the doors need to face completely away from the public street. And so that was the reason that we turned it around, and then we felt like that was a good location because it is close to the entrance, so you don't have garbage trucks driving through the community.
I just was curious.
Okay, sure.
Actually, what I figured,
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay.
That is the thing with these conceptual ones, you can tell what a building is. It gets a little conceptual when it's that, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, go ahead.
Thanks, Dylan, for really taking our points into consideration and coming back with a greatly improved product on here. I think this you can show us a few more things as you get into your specific implementation plan in there, and like if there's other first-time tricks and that you want to put in there, great. And as Scott was alluding to too, like make it a jewel sort of environment so that then other developments can follow suit with that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I do appreciate really the feedback that we get from you guys, because you pushing us, it does make a better project, and so I appreciate you guys being willing to provide that feedback.
You're never too shy about that.
We don't mean to be bullies all the time, but sometimes we have to.
You're doing your job.
Okay, so we're looking for a recommendation.
So,
Go ahead, Rick.
I was gonna say, is it worth me talking about the conditional use permit standards in Act 67? I know the Plan Commission has heard that spiel a lot in the past.
I don't think so, unless one of the conditions you feel like is a violation of that. And then why don't I read my conditions, and then if you need to correct me, you can. Does that work?
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be looking for a recommendation, and if that's something you want to consider, we have a couple conditions to consider with it.
Yeah, so these are the conditions that I'm recommending subject to approval. So the first one is they need to meet the minimum requirements of the MR zoning district. I originally, and I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this as I do, I sent out a review on May 17th, and then I since updated it with the new stuff, and that was attached to the planner's report, and they have a copy of that as well. Number 2 is they have to have that LSR 50%. I'm going to jump down to the bottom because this is really like the meat of this. By obtaining the outlot, Continental will be assuming all associated maintenance of the basin at no cost to the city. An agreement with the easement needs to be reviewed and approved before, and then Rick reached out to me today, and instead of occupancy of building, it should be building permits being issued. So I'm asking for that change there. Additional initiations that are being provided by the developer at the request of the Plan Commission is a green roof on the grounds building at the center of the community. We're asking that there is a maintenance plan in place with that too as one of the conditions. Community gardens with raised beds, indoor and secure bike storage unit, EV chargers, balconies on second floor unit overlooking Greenbrier Drive, enhancement native landscaping, and then the butterfly pollen garden. That's number 2. Number 3, which I accidentally wrote as number 2, so I apologize. The rear of the building will most likely need retaining walls to this slope. There needs to be some kind of fencing with landscaping installed for safety reasons. If you look, so in order to meet their minimum requirements, there's a little L that they ended up putting into this area, which I can approve through the planning, which I actually really like because it's going to act as a buffer between those existing homes and the new areas. But I do think that we need to look at the landscaping over there and like safety stuff there. And so that number 3, I'm asking that we also look at that area as well for safety. It's just extending over.
Is that, so that's a conditional use, or is that
That's a
something we're
condition
looking
of
at in the site plan? Or?
It's a condition of approval, is that we need to look at the safety aspect of all of the sloped areas of this, and
Okay.
you can bring those back during the SIP approval. Number 4 is development is tied to lot 50. The plat still needs to be filed. Number 5 is approval by Public Works, and that's kind of that general language, Public Works, yada, yada, yada. Number 6 is any other conditions subject to staff approval. Those other conditions. Number 7 is detention basin. We'd like it to look more natural. I don't know the story on, because that was a lot of this was established prior to me being here with that, but I do agree, and especially if we're putting a walk around, if we have time, we should do it if we can.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll work with Stoughton Trailers on that.
Yeah. And number 8 is we really should have a snow removal plan in place so we can see what that looks like, and that really should probably be brought with the SIP approval as well. Is there anything I missed with that? And then
I would just add a little bit of context on the stormwater. So that outlot is technically planned to be dedicated to the city, so there will have to be some sort of conveyance to Continental, but that would be part of the maintenance agreement. So the land technically is not under contract at this point, but that would have to be a conveyance from the city to Continental or work it through the plat. Because that is an outlot that is supposed to be dedicated to the public at this point. So there may be a lot line adjustment where it's adjusted so the property is just part of the Continental site, and then we put the easement over, but that's all part of that condition, I guess, to work out that maintenance agreement.
yeah, that essentially is the number, I think it's number 2 requirements. So they'll take over the most likely what it'll look like, and this is where Rick and I are trying to hammer it out, is they'll take over the property, but there'll be a big easement over it, granting us access, because that's where part of our trail system is going. And the other part of it too is like 50 years from now, when like hopefully none of us are working, we don't want somebody coming along filling that in and then all of a sudden putting additional buildings there, and it's part of a bigger detention area, right? So we want to make sure that that is well marked out for like future generations, they know. So
Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to add or subtract or amend? Otherwise, we're looking for a recommendation to move the conditional use permit to the city council.
Go ahead and recommend with the additions.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Tillison. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you all.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all the attention that you gave us. This is great.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and we'll be back next month.
Can you call my office in the morning?
Yes.
Do you guys mind? Okay,
Yeah.
just send me an appointment. We can meet that way.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay, item number 10 is consider a conditional use permit for principal buildings on a lot located at 431 Glacier Moraine. And we do have a need for a public hearing and a recommendation to council we're looking at. And just to give the commissioners an update, this is out in the edge of the business park north across from Emmy Roth. Currently, there are 6 incubator buildings that are out there. 2 more will be completed by the end of the year. And the city council at the last meeting did accept an offer to sell the land for some additional units, contingent on a whole bunch of things, including the developer's agreement. So to keep the process moving, we have some items in front of you to consider for tonight. And ultimately, as I mentioned, and Rick can certainly add to it, this would all be, okay, it would all be part of the developer's agreement. So I'll turn it over to Director Munz-Pritchard at this point.
Okay, so this is a interesting one. So what I did is, just to give you guys a little bit of the background, it's kind of the same development that's adjacent. So I pulled what we did on the conditional use permit there, and I used that to kind of see how we set regulations. The conditional use is for more than one principal structure on a lot. With that said, we don't have a lot of conditions that we can place on that per our ordinance. You guys are okay if I just kind of go into it. So essentially, what I'm recommending, it meets all the minimum requirements, but what I'm recommending, subject to approval, is future use will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, which shall meet planning, industrial zoning classification requirements. Personal storage, like mini warehouse uses, are conditional use within the planned industrial district. Indoor storage use, such as shipping, receiving, packaged goods, are permitted outright. The proposed use are for small businesses, and this is direct quote from what was approved on the adjacent lot during that process, okay? Turnaround at the end of the parking lot is necessary for traffic flow and emergency vehicle access. This was one of them that came out of the SIP approval, just for an overall site plan. It's tricky because I think what we could do is reduce the amount of parking stalls required to lengthen that area, because really getting turnaround, like, it's just like when you get in a parking lot and you go down to the end looking for a parking stall and there are none, and then you have to back all the way out of that parking area, and that's kind of almost how it's set up currently, and we don't want that. The conditional use permit is contingent on the sale of the property to the applicant, and the signing of the developer agreement is number 3. Number 4 is site plan, like an SIP is essentially required. The parking requirement will need to be revised for each potential use before occupancy. That's kind of where I was getting into. That's kind of tricky. Maybe we can reduce parking areas. Really, that turnaround is important. Utilities must adhere to Chapter 47 of the City Code. And this is essentially what it is on the adjacent lot, at what point it becomes public versus private, and it's at the property line. So we are looking at that same thing as well. So, and then depending on how it's set up, essentially we as the city are not responsible at a certain point, and then they need to decide how they're going to meter that, and it has to meet those codes. Once construction and as-built survey needs to be provided to the Department of Planning and Development to confirm like where stuff is lying. And then approval by Public Works, Stoughton Utilities, Building Inspector, Fire Inspector, other cities, and any other conditions identified by city staff or the Plan Commission. So again, this one's going to need to come back for an SIP approval, but this is for the conditional use, and these are the recommendations I'm asking for the conditional use. So,
All
and
right.
I believe the applicants are here.
Yep. Any questions about any of those? All right, we do have a need for a public hearing, so we'll go into that. There's a few people that are signed up. If they want to speak during the public hearing, you're certainly welcome to come up, or if they have any questions, you can answer them at that point. Really doesn't matter. Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. We'll ask you questions if anything comes up. Are there any questions from the commissioners about the conditional use on this one? I think the alders are pretty well versed. Most of you have probably seen what's out there. I think the one thing to note on these ones, these units will be bigger units, so they have some businesses that are outgrowing their current site and they'd like to keep them in Stoughton and move them up to bigger units, which is pretty exciting. And then that'll free up the inventory in the current units. I think you said you're full. Yep, you're at occupancy, so there's definitely a need for them. So that presentation at council, and we covered a lot of ground. So if there aren't any questions, I guess I would entertain a motion for a recommendation to the council for conditional use.
Motion.
Motion by Tillotson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bradford. One last time for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's see. Next item is number 11, is a two-lot certified survey map, 849 and 847 US Highway 51. Director Munz Pritchard, you want to summarize this one for us?
Okay, so the property is located 849 US 50 Highway. Well, you guys know where that is, right? Thank you. It's zoned ex-urban residential ER1 district. The lot is currently 3.1 acres. The applicant is requesting a CSM and a change in zoning. The request is running concurrently. So the first part is the CSM. The developer is requesting a proposal of a CSM. The area currently is 3.1 acres and there are 2 residents located on the same parcel. The proposed CSM is 2 lots and the remainder of the lot is being added to the parcel to the south. Lot 1 is approximately 1.92 acres and there's a single family home. Lot 2 proposal is 0.56 acres and has a single family home. There is a joint driveway that is being documented with the easement. 33 feet has been added, which is half the road right of way. And it's like, it lines up with that road right of way across the street on Spring Road, connecting across the road. If at any point that pops through, I think that was his intent. So, but it's only half the road right of way because only half of his lot lines up. Does that make sense? Okay. So I have a pretty okay diagram that you can see up there that Tim has. So you can see lot 1 has the 0.9 acres and that's the yellow or orange, sorry. The other one is in green and then the remainder of that is being added to the parcel to the south. And that's normally what that little Z means on that area. So the property was annexed in 2004 and then I'm not really going to read too much down through that. Between 2004 and 9, there was a lot combination, like lot line adjustment in red below. It is unclear when it was done or if any additional restrictions took place. So if you could scroll down to the next one. Do you guys remember this happening? So you can see Exhibit A is where the annexation took place, but red outline is what's showing up in Dane County, and I don't know when that happened. I don't have any records. It might have been done through a quitclaim deed, so they don't have to go through any approvals. I don't know, but that's how it's showing up. So it's more of like a, hey, this is what it looks like here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to scroll through on my sheets. So the minimum requirements of amendment to the zoning map, it does actually meet most of it meets all of the requirements. 4 recommendations, so we'll do it as 2 separate motions. Are you guys okay with it? Although they're contingent, if one doesn't pass, the other one, can't. So the CSM shall be prepared by a land surveyor and then meeting the minimum standards of the state. Existing easements shall be shown and proposed utility easements shall be placed in the lot. Recording of the CSM creates the subject property is next, basically they have to file it within a year. And then the paved areas need to be 5 feet from the property line, which it shows there, it's right up against it. The paperwork shows that the remainder of the lot will be combined with the lot to the south that needs to be provided. So I want to make sure that this, all of a sudden, we're not having a fourth, like the third lot pop up and a house on it. Like, these need to be properly combined. And then 7 and 8 are the, fire inspector, building inspector, and then any other conditions that are identified by you guys or city staff. So the changing in zoning, and I could have swore there was one other thing on here, and I don't know where it went to on this, but my concern, I believe, and I thought it was on here, but essentially this area falls under, oh, it's number 4. I must have skipped over it. I apologize. Number 4 of the above. The property is currently on a private well and septic, what's called a POUTS, private on-site waste treatment systems. There's no public utilities in this area. A letter from the health department and Stoughton Utilities needs to be provided. The minimum lot size for a septic is being met. A new system would need to be permitted when a current one fails. So like my concern with this, and I did let the landowner know, and I would like something in writing, is essentially when I worked at the county, there are minimum lot size requirements for a septic to be replaced because it has to have the drain field and all of that fun stuff. In Rock County, that's 40,000 square feet. Shoreland zoning is 20,000 square feet. I don't know what it is at Dane County. I know that they'll have to get an exemption from utilities, and then it would have to go through that. And keep in mind too, this is existing. This has an existing POUTS on it, right? But my concern is I don't want them going below the square footage. So like I need something in writing from them, and that's what I've requested. That was my main concern. I want to make sure that they can get a replacement septic. I don't think that probably pulling utilities to this location is feasible for 2 houses, and I don't know long-term plans. So, and then the second motion that I'm looking for is the change in zoning, because if this CSM goes through, it doesn't meet those minimum zoning requirements, so we need to get that changed over. So it just, it's pretty much the normal, both lots need to meet those minimum requirements for the proposed zoning. The zoning change of a single family residential SR3 district is being applied to lot 1 and lot 2 of the proposed, and the remainder of the adjacent lot is to be ER1, which is what the adjacent lot is, the one next to it. Like that it's all getting, I like to use the term smushed together, the lot next door.
So my question is how was this property allowed to become annexed without being tied into the city utilities? And so
Tom,
my question, I'm following that question
Yeah.
with why would we allow this to happen now without requiring them to tie into the city utilities? Why would we continue with a problem that somebody else created?
Sure. Okay. So I can make up the answer, and then I can have Tim correct me. So my guess is that the area in the rear is slated for something prior to my time being here. That's my guess. And when this was annexed, it was all annexed together. I'm not disagreeing
I
with you.
can't help you other than to ask the folks that are in the room that maybe they can provide us some history.
I'm not disagreeing. I can think of, not in this city, but other cities that I've worked where we have allowed a POUTS. Like, it was, like, just weird circumstances that a private septic was allowed, but normally there was always an exemption issued, and it had to go normally through city utilities, and then that exemption was issued. I don't have knowledge of how this necessarily happened here. My guess is because the property is like, if you look at the whole thing, it's really long, and I'm wondering if utilities are on the back side, and then it was looked to grow this way, is my guess. But these guys are pretty far.
Yeah, if I could, I'd like to speak a couple of things. Number one, I want to start with that 20,000 square feet is an ample size. Dane County zoning, which deals only with, septics, has got a zoning classification that allows for 20,000 square feet. I did talk with, as a matter of fact, just had a return call after Chris and I had talked. The gentleman from Dane County Environmental Health called and stated that they don't have a minimum, that they basically, fit a septic where you need to, but 20,000 square feet would allow for the septic to be replaced multiple times. And actually with septic systems today, what they'll do if you had a system that was failed or failing, you put in a new system that is adjacent with a distribution valve, and it allows you to go back and forth every 3 years, and it's like having a virgin system once you have two of them, because any organic matting or anything like that dissipates after 3 years. So 20,000 square feet is more than ample. An acre, the reason that we didn't put an acre with both of these is because being within the city of Stoughton, an acre is almost like a waste of, what I'm saying, the land size is too big if you don't, need it. You have city services. These two houses were a part of about 100 and some acres that we did annex to the city in 2005. And the development has gone a little bit slower coming from the backside, and utilities, the closest utilities for these to be connected would be probably over at Racetrack Park damn near. And this is over, at 51 by the airport. So I don't know whether that helps at all in determining it, but the septic systems, certainly there's ample space multiple times to add another system until such time as city utilities are available. But it is not uncommon to have I would say a single family residence within an urban setting that maybe does not have utilities available to it yet. It's like our office. When we bought our office, we were still on a septic system because there's still no sewer running by the front of it on Highway 51 today. We're out there replacing Main Street, and there's not a sewer in front of it. I don't know if that answers any of your questions, but.
So I will say this, and this is just my personal experience. I can't speak for Dane County, but when you get a lot that is too small, and then you put a septic and a well on it, that well has to go directly underneath the septic. And then when it fails, I don't think I need to explain what happens. And this was like something that we saw happening. And while I don't doubt that 20,000 square feet or 10 or 50,000 square feet is enough for a Pouts replacement, I want something in writing.
Okay,
That's what I want.
I will provide that.
That's what I'm telling
Chris,
you, yeah.
I will provide that to you, but, a well on top of a septic is never gonna happen, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So,
But that's what
no
happens
problem.
when they're too small.
All
So
right, I have no
yeah.
problem providing that for you. I thought that this was taken care of because I did send this out to you. I didn't hear anything back. So, but I talked with the director from Dane County Environmental Health that called me on Thursday, and I said, I believe I'm good. We don't need anything from you at this point.
Yeah, I want a letter coming from them just saying like, yeah, we don't require minimum size. They could get a replacement.
No problem.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Because that's my concern is I don't want to create something that
No.
now we've got
And-
people that can't
Chris,
live there.
And neither do I.
Yeah.
So I have no problem providing it
Yes.
because he told me it was not an issue.
So I'm going to suggest that anything that you might consider approving would be contingent on that letter.
Yeah, I'm
So
okay
I
with
think
that.
that's an
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was one of my requirements.
All right.
We need something in writing from Dane County.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did talk to him. He said 20,000 is more than enough.
All right.
Okay.
Did that answer your question? Are you glad you opened up that can?
Well, no, it hasn't answered my question. My question is that's relevant.
Well-
My question is why are we continuing to perpetuate a policy where we're adding in things and not requiring it to be into the city and not requiring it to be connected to the city.
I think the short answer is we don't have city services available
Well,
yet.
my point is then we shouldn't have been, this shouldn't have been annexed.
I agree. It would have been nice too if there was like, hey, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm pointing it out. I'm sorry that other people couldn't understand that when this was annexed.
Yeah, and that all predates us, so the
It
question
does.
is what do we do going forward?
So, going forward, why should we continue this?
I agree. I think this is an inherited problem. I'm not disagreeing. Ideally, we wouldn't even be talking about this, and he could subdivide this 42 times or whatever, and not have to worry about the utility aspect because utilities are there. Because at the end of the day, like I've had to replace my pallets at my house because I live in the country, and depending on the system, you could be looking at $20,000 to $30,000. And I think getting on, if there's a line out front, that line getting drawn in from the house is probably cheaper, and in the long run. I think going forward, if we have annexations like this, we need to have some kind of contingency plan for when these people need to hook up. And that's normally what I've seen in the past. It's like, okay, this is getting annexed and we have an existing house on a POUTS. When that fails, then they are hooking up to city utilities, and it's spelled out. But I mean, you can see, like at one point in time, the property line moved. I couldn't find any records of that. I don't know if it was done through a quitclaim deed. I know I had messaged you because you were just like, I don't know when that happened either. Like, I mean, we don't know. Yeah.
I don't, I guess specifically know what you're talking about as far as when we annexed this property, the only thing we did is a meets and bounds description for the two houses because my mother was still alive at that time. And so my brother, my mother, and the other, we formed a liability company and took the development land away from the two dwellings. Well, since my mother has passed away, and the two houses sit there, and it'd be better off to have owners in the houses. So
I was talking about, like, you can see it looks like there's been 3 existing houses there, and then sometime between when it was annexed, it says between 2004 and now, there was some kind of lot line adjustment done on the back half, removing it from the really large parcel in the front. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know when it happened. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, I don't know when it happened.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
So it's, it's like tried to hunt down some of the records on this, and
what is I guess my question would be, what is your concern with that being as we own, I'm saying the same ownership in all the parcels? What is the concern?
I don't think that there's really necessarily concern. It's just like, I couldn't even find when that lot line changed, let alone the contingency plan for getting hooked up to sewer and water, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a visible lot line change from 2004 to now, which I don't know even how that happened, and like, let alone trying to hunt down like what the contingency plan was for pulling it
quite
online.
honestly, there was really no contingency
Yeah.
plan because this is, at the time was located a mile from the closest city services, and today it is no different. It's another mile from, being
Yeah.
able to hook up. So to discuss that, we're going to have a contingency plan for a well and septic would be replacement size, and I think if we provide you with a letter that states that there's enough space there to put in a replacement system, it should hopefully satisfy your concern.
Yeah, and something from like Dane County is really, I just need something in letterhead with writing saying like, yes, they can do this. So
Yep, not a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
I just had a question. So
Sure.
when you annexed the 100 acres, did that include the 2 houses?
Yes,
or they had
absolutely.
separate-
Everything. But
So
there was,
everything was
there
annexed?
was, there were 2 ownerships. Would have been, my mother
But the whole-
owned like
both
the
parcels
3.4, but everything came in together. And then later came Payne and Dole, and after us is a little further up.
Well, and that's the other part of it too, is like, I'm surprised that the houses weren't squared off, the back wasn't entered in, and then the front wasn't left because it wouldn't be considered an island because adjacent is not in the city limits as well. Like, so.
I only had a comment about the sewer system and whatnot, is both in Virginia and Missouri when I was practicing there. We had a lot of rural land that got incorporated into city limits when the builders went out and developers went out, where the farmhouse, the original farmhouse was kind of cut off and was the last parcel to be developed and went on. And they just had when that parcel, say behind those acres are developed and attached to city services, that it was compulsory that all the homes in that kind of area get connected to, you know, public utilities. I don't know that we have anything like that, but that might be one way to at least going forward.
Yeah,
It seems like, you know, you have other land that's out there, which is in the urban service area.
It's all in the urban service area.
So it seems to me that once that gets developed, it would make sense to connect all of this. at
Yeah,
the
when
same
it's
time.
available, my understanding is that if you've got services available, you have to hook up. I think, is that not an ordinance in
Yeah,
the
I think
city?
there's an ordinance. I
Yeah.
don't know the details
So,
of it, but.
And this is, you know, I've been practicing real estate for 41 years. This is not uncommon to have, you know, an existing dwelling within a city that is not, you know, connected to municipal.
Right.
Yeah, you look at all those that are close by.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon.
No, so I think that's ultimately where we want to get. We're not there now, but in the meantime, the properties are still annexed to the city. They're still city residents, so, you know, we
Yeah,
have a
I'm-
responsibility to represent our constituents, so I think that's why they're here.
Like you say, the concern, if I had a concern on the septic, I would do something different, but everybody I've talked to, it's not an uncommon thing, and Dane County wouldn't allow single-family lots, and right here it states 20,000 square feet. So, you know, that's all well and septic.
Yeah, so I guess my question, and maybe it's in here and I'm just not getting it, is why now? I mean, why are you doing this now?
You know, honestly, with the two houses and tenants, they're single-family, they're large single-family homes, and to make it worthwhile, or the maintenance, and they should be owner-occupied. And the reason why now, it's because my mother is no longer coming home, never coming back.
Yeah. So I like the idea of them being owner-occupied,
Yeah,
so.
me too, and that's what it should be.
It's not like you're proposing any more there.
No, I'm not looking to put anything else in with a well and septic.
So we're
They're
just
there,
going
they've been
from-
operating that way for 100 years, and
Yeah, so we're just changing the law to accommodate, to make them single-family homes.
correct.
I wanted the insurance, like,
Yeah.
I need the
really get
insurance of that. I just want to make sure that they can be replaced, so we're not making them too small, that we now are creating a situation where the people cannot flush their toilets. Like, that's my concern, right? So as long as you can get something in writing from Dane County, and I told you that, I know you said, well, Dane County doesn't care, they'll approve up to, just have Dane County send me a
No,
letter.
I don't
Yeah.
think that I said that they don't care. What they said is they don't have a minimum, and, you know, have them state
Yes.
that. They don't have a minimum because, you know, septic's really the size that they take up.
They have to have a minimum. I mean, I cannot,
Okay.
I don't want to get into this too
All right.
much, but that was like the nightmare that I saw when I was in the county, where they didn't have a minimum, and that was what you ended up with.
Was that in Rock County?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he
Yeah.
comes up with.
Yeah, I will get you a letter, Chris, not a problem.
Anything else before we go into public hearing on this one? Okay, we'll close the regular meeting, we'll go into public hearing. Anybody want to speak on this one? Come on up. The microphone is live, and so is the room.
My name is Ruth Mary Anderson, and I live at 861 US Highway 51, which is adjacent to the property on the west side. Right, next to the bigger house, that's the white one there. This makes me a little bit nervous. You mentioned something about being a half lane if they were to connect through to Spring Road?
Yeah, that's a really,
Because the other half, if you're coming straight across, is on my property.
okay.
Okay, so I want to know about that.
Yeah, and we do not control Spring Road, right?
Yeah.
That's a town road.
Yeah, Well, it's its own road, but would you put a road in that has just a little bit of a jog?
So first of all, I can explain that one part of it.
Okay.
So right of way, so you have road, like the road that, curb to curb or edge of pavement, and then you have right of way, which is like the entire roadway with utilities and ditches. Minimum in the state of Wisconsin is 33 feet.
Okay.
So he is putting a strip of 30 or 66 feet total. He's putting a strip of 33 feet in 50, 100, 200 years. If they want to hook up across the street, they can, but you would have to sell that other 33 feet. You control that other 33 feet. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it does.
Yeah.
So there
you
is
can't get a
no
road on
eminent
33 feet.
domain or anything like that
No,
that I would have to
don't
worry
want
about.
to, but yeah.
And then another question that I have, we've lived in Stoughton now 10 years, a little over 10 years. Our first experience in a more rural environment. Definitely our first experience living on a US highway. What I have been told, and I could have been told wrong, is that each lot has to have its own entrance from the highway.
So that is probably not correct.
Okay.
And I can explain that.
Okay,
So in this case, it's a joint driveway that's existing.
right?
DOT actually controls the access there. And normally, if you're looking at access control, there are certain triggers that you even have to meet if it's not an existing driveway. So there's sight distance, speed, there's a whole formula. You go out and you measure, and they have to be so far apart from each other. So in this case, those two are a joint driveway. If they would want additional driveways, we don't have jurisdiction, and I don't see the DOT granting them, to be honest with
Based
you.
on our experience,
Yes.
they have been very conservative to give out additional access points because that creates the potential for a safety issue.
Anytime you have additional access points, it's just adding additional spaces for a crash to happen.
Definitely.
It's just adding those factors. So
Definitely.
But you could certainly reach out to the DOT and they could probably get you their codes
Yeah.
if you
So
want.
as of right now, we're talking about these two lots them being separated.
they have a joint
And
driveway
have a joint
easement.
driveway.
Yes.
They
and that
typically,
stays
there's
that
an
way.
agreement between both homeowners. In this case, it might be the same owners. Just like you might have one on a shared well.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks
you.
for being here. Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll close the public hearing, and then we're still talking about the CSM. We're looking for a potential recommendation to the council. Is anybody prepared to make it?
Motion with contingents.
Motion including the contingency from Dane County?
Yes.
All right, second
I'll second.
from Bradford. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then that takes us to the second part, which is the zoning. And let's see if I can find it here. Oh, I think it was on the same document.
It is.
Okay. All right, what do you have, Director Munz-Pritchard, for the zoning?
I have, both lots need to meet the minimum requirements of the proposed zoning district. The zoning changes of single-family, our SR3 district is being applied to lots 1 and 2 of the proposed CSM. The remainder of the adjacent lot is to be zoned ER-1 and tied to the larger lot, which is part of the CSM requirement as well. We need to see that it's being tied. And number 2 or 3 and 4 are those generic conditions of approval pending, and then any other conditions.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments from commissioners on that? So do you anticipate they'll be able to meet all that?
Yeah,
No problems there?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so they're conforming?
Yes, now you're making me think twice about, I do believe they're conforming.
Okay, I have no idea.
No, I looked, I'm fairly certain they're performing. They
Okay.
have to meet those minimum requirements, that is a.
All right. Any questions from commissioners before we go into the public hearing? Hearing none, we're open for public hearing. Do you want to speak to the zoning? Anybody? All right, we'll go back into our regular business. So we have a zoning amendment, and anything in particular?
No, I recommend approval subject to conditions.
All right, anybody willing to make that motion?
I'll move to approve the change in zoning, subject to conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tilson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we still got a few more items. Are they quick, or are they gonna take a while?
Yeah, they're quick.
Okay. Zoning district is the next one.
Okay, so changes were made to the Arts District. I did not get up for public notification, but I'm looking for some kind of direction. The other, I'm kind of slightly skipping ahead, but not really. One of the recommendations to come out of the Arts District was ironing out the issues with the Central Business District. So that's also on this list. And that one is informational. So I guess what I'm looking at is a direction from you guys for that arts zoning district, and then echoing the changes, like I can put together a PowerPoint on the Central Business District stuff and explain the direction I went with that. I know this is two different spots, but I feel like they're kind of interconnected, so that's why I'm talking about them. So the Arts District, can we move forward with that at the next Plan Commission meeting?
So we still need the public hearing then, is what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay, so we won't take any action tonight. Does anybody have any questions about it, or anything that you want Chris to research between now and then? And if not, certainly we have a month to gather your thoughts and questions.
I just had one super quick question, and I don't know if this was something missing or if I'm just reading it funny. Under purpose of the Arts District, like on the first page, the second paragraph, the intended result is to help establish a mixed-use area with art-related businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and traditional residences integrated together in a manner. And then that sentence stops there, and I'm wondering if there's supposed to be more to that sentence?
Yeah, I don't really like that, and
Or
I
if
will,
that is
I
where
will
it's
change
supposed to
it.
stop.
I will change
Okay.
that.
It struck me as a little
I don't know.
curious.
Little vague,
I
is
think
it?
the
Yeah.
problem is that sometimes too, I look at this stuff for like so much. Just like, because essentially what it is it's the residence is supposed to be kind of like, like this with it. So I'll try to get that fixed.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, Phil.
Yeah, if you see anything else, just email them.
Yeah, and feel free to swing by. Seriously, let me know what you guys want to see there. So,
All right, so that one will be at the next meeting, as well as the central business one?
so the next one is 13, and it's the central business. Would you want me to put together a presentation and explain how I did the central business zoning district? Okay. And then, so in the meantime, you guys have a copy of it. Feel free to look through. If you have questions, swing by, shoot me an email. Rick's been helping me with it as well. We can talk about it that direction too, so.
All right, so then we'll go back. We still have to do the minutes, and we can't forget to do the council report either.
Oh, yes.
So,
I do have more to talk about after this though.
you do?
Like really brief, like real brief.
Okay, all right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Well, no, I was like, don't do that. We're gonna wait
Oh.
till next meeting.
Oh, for the minutes?
Yes, yeah, because there's a whole slew of them. She wanted me to double check them, and so I would like to double check them.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Tim. I didn't explain that
So we
very
want to go
well.
right to the council representative report. I get it now. I stalled as much as I could, sorry. What do you have?
It's edge of your seat, this stuff. At the June 9th council meeting, We approved R83 and R84 of 2025 at the June 24th council meeting. We approved ordinance 24 of 2025, and at the July 8th council meeting, ordinance 25 and ordinance 26 of 2025 were both approved, and that's it.
All right. And then future agenda items other than the minutes?
Yeah, so besides that, everybody turned their stuff in, and then even some of them were late, and so some of them might not be at the next plan commission meeting. I need to hammer that out, and I can talk about that afterwards. But we have a zoning change at 1214 East Main Street. That's the old car wash, a street across the street from the new car wash. That's looking at a plan development, and I can explain more on that if you'd like. Basically, I think we need to establish the plan development for Scullin. That was done in the 80s, I believe, but we can't find a lot of the records on that. So establishing those, so if that area ever expands, we can apply those new zoning to that. And so we're going to look at overall, and I can get into more of that if you guys
They're in the
want to
same
later.
file as 849 East Main Street.
We've got a conditional use permit at 1305 East Main Street. I'm just skipping over. We've got an SIP for 1420 Nygaard Street. That's going to be the Veterans Clinic. We've got a CSM for the RDA site that's going to be coming forward. And we have looking at you, Brett, the sustainability put together the land division. That will be at the next plan commission meeting as well. And then I will bring the arts district, and additionally I'll try to do a PowerPoint for the central business. We have 2 SIPs. They're, in my mind, on the cusp of not being here, and I need to review those further. I just got the one in for Continental. I will say they were very good. They took everything that we told them to do, and they were very enthusiastic. I'm not kidding. With that said, they just got the stuff in today, and the deadline was Friday. And I'm starting to get really hard-nosed about that. And additionally, we had another SIP approval come in. The application came in on Friday with none of the stuff coming in till today. So, so that's another one that I don't have on the list, but they might come back. I want to see how complete some of their stuff is. So, but you could see we are very full. So.
One general question, Chris, with these, like the art zoning district, central business district, you're just adding these in here so that we have a framework if some things develop down the road. Is that true?
Yeah, so central business district is the downtown district. And when we changed the multifamily residential, it really kind of threw some of the stuff for a loop in this area. Like one of the things that we talked about in the central business district, and I can go into this more later, is if it's a brand new project, like a standalone project in central business and it's residential, I think we can require parking to a certain extent, right? But if it's a building that's being rehabbed that might not have the space, and especially if it's a historic building, if we want to see that building rehab, and I don't want to get too into this, but we'll talk about it offline, right? Mm-hmm. I think we need to look at not requiring parking. And there's 2 buildings in my mind that I can think of. And they were primarily residential, or they are residential and maybe need rehabbing, okay? Unless they're like over 3 units. And there's all of this other stuff that goes into it. But I really looked at the central business district, and then I mimicked some of the language off of the arts district and central business district, so it's meeting those same kind of requirements. So that central business is going to be like all encompassing of a bunch of different things, where the arts district is more focused on like arts uses. So, with that said, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them, or we can do the research on them. So, does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought like, you know, as we get, especially the downtown, which is kind of an unusual set of things, that we're gonna start to get like this Venn diagram effect of where we're gonna have, you know, this building is a part of 3 different districts, but the neighboring building is only part of 2, and
Yeah.
it's gonna start to get to be a giant mess.
I think with the arts district and the central business, we might see doing that, but really, we don't want the spot zoning to happen. So like, we might see a little, I thought about originally doing the arts district as an overlay, but I was like,
Right.
no, like, I feel like sometimes that complicates things, like, for people down the line trying to figure out what happened, right, in these spaces. So that's more why I went the direction that I did with it being 2 separate zoning districts. But the fact is they're really very close. So, you know, maybe when we do the future land use map, we can kind of have it interchangeable on the future land use areas. But ideally, like, let's say there's a couple spaces, like, let's say the central business district expands to areas that, like, are industrial areas now, and we want to see those change and get rehab for whatever reason. I think, you know, that would be essentially a leveling of those spaces, and then, so it'd be new build versus historic, and we need to know how to approach that, and I think that's important. So, I don't know how else to say it. Sorry. I know you guys want to get out of here.
No, it's all good.
All right, entertain a motion. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Schumacher, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Majewski. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.